So you can listen to this practice wherever it is that you find yourself today. You can be sitting down, or you can be laying down, or you can even be stretching and doing things if that's what you got to do. And hopefully wherever you're at when you listen, this will still be helpful to you in some way. So if you would prefer to listen to this in a still position, you can just let now be the time where you let yourself fidget and adjust, stretch and move your body in whatever ways your body wants to move. As you really do your best to not think about these movements at all or worry about what anything looks like, but allowing yourself to step fully into that sense of feeling as you let your body move you in the ways that intuitively feel good in your bones, muscles, and joints. Maybe rolling out the neck or shoulders, any movements in the spine, maybe some cat-cow motions, opening and closing the heart space, or torso twists or side body bends. Maybe even rolling out the wrists or wiggling out the fingers, rolling out the ankles or wiggling the toes. Whatever movements feel good in your body, in your bones and muscles and joints. And if what feels best in your body at any time is stillness, then honoring that need for stillness, whenever that feels like what you need. And there's also no rush whatsoever. You can continue to move throughout this practice whenever you have the need to. But if you would like to dedicate yourself to a still position for the remainder of this practice, and you haven't made your way there already, then you may do so. Just checking in that your spine is nice and straight in whatever position you've chosen. And if you're in a space where you feel safe and would like to, you can allow the eyes to gently close at any time if they aren't already. Taking a moment now to mark your arrival into your practice today and to mark your arrival into your body today with a full and intentional cleansing breath. As you call in fresh new air in through the nose and filling up slowly to every corner and edge of you, getting as full as you possibly can get of air. As you just hold that for a moment when you are full, to just stay and experience what it feels like to be full of air right now. And as you need to, slowly let all of that go. Exhaling it all out of you bit by bit. And gently pulling the navel in toward the spine at the bottom of your exhale to push any last bit of stagnant air out of you. As you again pause for a moment here to now stay and experience this sense of emptiness in the body. And allowing your next breath to come as it's needed. And you can continue to breathe in this slow, intentional, exaggerated way for as long as it feels good and helpful to you. Just knowing that there is not any need to worry about the actual length of the inhales, exhales, and pauses on either side. But we're just allowing each of these 4 parts of the breath to simply be exaggerated, whatever that means for you right now. So when the body would naturally stop inhaling, just seeing if you can expand your lower belly or maybe the back of your rib cage a little bit more to take in one more sip of air. And when you would naturally start to roll over to the exhale, just seeing if you can hold off on that for one extra moment. And then as you exhale, letting it all go. And even once you think you're empty, seeing if you can push out one more bit of air and stay for an extra moment in that space of emptiness. Allowing the next breath to come as it's needed. Continuing to breathe in this slow, exaggerated way. And therefore, communicating to our nervous system that right now is a time to slow down, to let go, and to release. And again, there is no rush whatsoever. And you can continue to breathe in this intentional and slow way for as long as it feels good and helpful to you. But at any point, if you haven't already, you may release this guidance over your breath altogether. As you take this moment to step back and up in your mind and into the role of the observer, into the role of the witness. Shifting your perspective into that zone where you are simply watching as your own body breathes you. Shifting into that same frame of mind that you feel when you witness a force of nature. Maybe watching waves as they roll up along the shoreline. Maybe staring out at a grand landscape or looking at a storm out the window. Never trying to change anything about what it is you are witnessing, but simply witnessing. As you remember and remind yourself that you are a force of nature, just like all the other ones out there. Your body works so hard in so many ways to keep you alive every single moment of your life without any of your direction or doing. Your body automatically functions perfectly enough to keep you alive up to this point. Even if there has been illness or disease present in the body, in the past or in the present, your body is still working as hard as it can to keep you here and alive. And that can be a really difficult thing to remember when we are in active pain. And so if there is any areas of pain present in the body right now, maybe an area of physical pain, maybe an area of mental or emotional pain. Oftentimes the pain is so loud that we can't hear anything else. And we try to look all these other places. We try to run away from it and distract from it. Look away. And sometimes all that pain is asking for is just a little bit of attention. Similarly to if you imagine a child having a temper tantrum and yelling for their mother over and over and over again. And he could be tugging on his mom's arm, saying, "Mommy, mommy, mommy," over and over. And it could seem like this big thing that you just don't want to look at. But the moment you look at it, the moment you look down at the child, he might just say, "Hi," or just want some attention, or "I love you." And so approaching any areas of pain in your body, heart, or mind from a place of caring curiosity, maybe taking on a perspective of a caring parent. With your own hurting child that is within you, from all of the pains of your past that you have experienced, giving yourself that love that you need, or that love that you needed right now. Allowing all of the muscles in your body to now physically soften even more. Allowing every muscle in the face to ungrip from the bones. Allowing every muscle down the arms to almost roll off of the bones. And allowing all the muscles down the torso to just release into the support of your own skin. As you feel even your pelvic floor lengthen and widen. And all the muscles down the legs roll off of the bones as well. Remembering this deep and innate trust that you can have with your own anatomy. Remembering that you can trust your anatomy. Remembering how every single evening when you go to sleep, even in your deepest state of sleep, you are never crushed and you never float away. but with the safety of the earth beneath you and the support of gravity all around you, you are always held exactly where you need to be. And your skin is always holding you exactly where you need to be as well. And so just allowing yourself to feel this full-bodied hug from your own skin, hugging your muscles, your own muscles hugging your bones and organs. Taking on that same feeling that you feel when you exhale into a hug with someone who you love dearly. Just that moment when you allow yourself to be held and you let yourself be loved, be safe and supported. And just letting yourself be loved and safe and supported by yourself, by your own anatomy. And letting the mind be just as soft as the rest of the body as well. Maybe even feeling like your brain is just resting into the support of your own skull. And just take the next few minutes of your life to simply allow yourself to exist exactly as you already do. Releasing the need to change anything at all about this specific moment. And instead, remember the novelty and the uniqueness and the noteworthiness of this exact moment. And allow yourself to feel all it is that is here for you to feel. Allowing for any emotional releases that need to come, however they need to come. As you continue to soften your body and listen to your own body, to your own heart, maybe to your own surroundings, hearing your own personalized symphony of the universe. so you can continue to feel all that is here for you to feel. And continue to soften your body into all that it is that you are feeling. As you listen to the following words that are written by Thich Nhat Hanh in his book called You Are Here. And you can just allow anything at all that feels like it resonates with you to soak in deeper and not worrying about the rest. Here is a practice poem you can learn by heart, and it can also be sung. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. I am solid, I am free, in the ultimate I dwell. I'll read that one more time. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. I am solid, I am free, in the ultimate I dwell. You can use this poem during sitting meditation or during walking meditation. As you breathe in or take a step, you say, I have arrived, here and now. I am not running anymore. I have been running all my life, but now I am deciding to stop because I have learned that life is here. And when you stop, happiness starts to be possible. Stop, the street signs remind you. Stop running because life is here in the present moment. We have to train in that. As you breathe out, you say, I am home. I am already home. I don't have to run. I am at home, in my true home. The address of my true home is clear. Life, here and now. Peace is something that becomes possible the moment you stop. Stopping is an essential aspect of Buddhist meditation. If you look into Buddhist meditation, you will find that it has two aspects. First, stopping, and then deep looking. When you achieve stopping, you become solid and concentrated. That allows you to practice looking deeply into what's here, and looking deeply into the nature of things brings insight. This understanding will liberate you from your suffering. The more you practice, the more you are solid and the more you are free. The greater your freedom, the greater your happiness. We are not talking about political freedom here. We are talking about freedom from distress, from attachment, from anger, from fear. You are free from all that. Your happiness comes from that freedom. Through the practice of stopping, you cultivate that solidity and freedom. Through the practice of stopping, you will achieve it. The wave can live the life of a wave, but it can also do better. It can live every moment of its life deeply touching its nature of no birth and no death. That is its nature as water. If wave realizes that it is water, its fear disappears. It enjoys its rising and falling much more. Rising is joyful and falling is too. There is no birth and there is no death. That is the highest level of the teaching. can just take the next few moments to allow each and every word that you've heard today and each and every feeling that you have felt today to simply settle within you. Maybe imagining that every word and feeling was just a little speck of glitter within this big snow globe of your own body. And now is the time where the glitter all settles to the bottom and the air clears. And you can trust that anything that you heard today that resonated with you in a deep way, just trusting that that feeling can sometimes come when we hear on the outside what a part of ourselves already knows to be true on the inside. And so just allowing those truths to be enhanced within you so that you feel a little bit more confidence to act on your own intuition and to trust your own instincts. And just remembering that there is not one teacher out there or book out there or anything out there that can teach you more about yourself and your life, your passions, your desires, than what quiet time with yourself will be able to teach you, or what reflecting on your interactions with others will be able to teach you, or by noticing your first reactions to situations will be able to teach you. And so you never have to give that power away to anyone else. And we can learn great things from people along the way in our lives and encounter great teachers and great friends and friendships that we learn so much from. And at the same time, you never have to give that power away to anybody else. If anyone ever tries to convince you that they know you better than you, or that you need them in order to connect to a spirit or God or anything of this world or otherworldly, just know that you possess all of that power within you already. And all of us will move through phases where we forget our innate power. And that is okay, completely okay. Just like it is completely okay that the moon hides in the shadows at times. Just like it's completely okay that flowers shed their petals and trees shed their leaves. Animals go into hibernation. There is nothing wrong with you if you are feeling blank or dull or uninspired or sad or painful or anything that you call negative. It simply means that you are human and you're a part of life. And the only thing we can count on is that everything changes, especially how we feel. So allowing your feelings to move through you with a little bit more ease, just by understanding that they are temporary. And every single storm runs out of rain. And you're also allowed to soak up all the sunshine whenever it's shining on you. And shine that back for others whenever you need to. And so if it feels like something you would like to do today, you can just let your hands come and find each other in a prayer position toward heart center. As you feel this contact of your palms and fingertips to one another, and you let your heart lift toward your thumbs as your thumbs press back toward your heart. And you just tune in to this rhythm of your own heartbeat, this steady rhythm to your entire life. And taking one final deep and full breath into the body, filling up to every corner and edge of you the most you have today. And as you exhale, letting go of anything at all you're ready to let go of, as you allow the head to gently bow. As you take this moment to bow to the source of energy that allows all of our hearts to beat, whatever you believe that to be. And bowing to everyone else in this space who has listened and completed this practice right alongside you. And finally bowing to yourself for choosing to show up today and taking the time out of your busy life for this pure act of self-love and self-care. And may this act continue to heal you through the rest of your days and nights. And may you bring the same love and understanding to everything you do and to everyone that you see. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, guys. If you would like to stay in this zone a little longer, feel free to float on out of here. And let me read through this chat because I am behind. Let's see. Mike says, I listened to Being Peace by Thich Hanh yesterday. Shortest but worth the time. He has so many amazing audiobooks. And yeah, a lot of them are free. A lot of them are like 20 minutes or like, they're short, like an hour long, a few hours. And so helpful. Definitely worth the time. Being Peace. I'm definitely gonna put that into my notes of things to listen to. Thank you. And Vincenzo, beautiful note there regarding other teachers. Thank you. Yeah. I try to always put that in, but I feel like I've been forgetting lately. I used to say that all the time when I was more actively doing cult research. But we got to be careful. Us searchers or seekers out here, For people who are looking to heal, we just got to be careful of the grifters, because that's the whole side to this world that we are existing in. And we just got to be careful. I've been harmed by quite a few in my search for health over the past 15 years. So yeah, I always try to just remind people that. And even just like in relationships, like abusive relationships, like people, like your partner can try to convince you that like you're nothing without them and that you need them in order to be anything. And sometimes part of you like believes it if you're in that situation for a long time. So I always try to put that out there as a reminder that nope, no matter what it feels like in the moment, you never like, it's just not the case. And there's some pretty horrible people out there who really want to take advantage of really kind-hearted people that are probably on Insight Timer. Because I'm like, the only people who would like find an Insight Timer live session about like healing or like be on Insight Timer in general are people who really need it, and people who are hurting. So I take this like very seriously what I do here, because I know the fragility, I know the fragile states that a lot of you are probably in, and I'm very familiar with those states. So I treat it with as much care as possible. And change is the only constant. Absolutely. I was just talking about that last night. Change, and I know we said this in a live session a few weeks ago if you were in here, but change is the only constant. And pooping and dying, those are like the two things that every single person does and every single person has to do, and nobody wants to talk about. And on death and dying, there's this book called On Death and Dying that I highly recommend. If you've recently experienced grief, if you're processing grief in the terms of losing someone or an animal or just grieving the loss of life. On Death and Dying by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. But it was required reading for the hospice program that I volunteered at briefly. And I put the links in my YouTube videos. Thank you, Breeze, and thank you, Emmy. And thank you so much, Grace, for your donation. Thank you, Ochio and Daniela, for your donations as well. Again, thank you for any and all donations. Anytime they come through, they really just are amazing and help support me and motivate me to do these lives as often as I do. So thank you, thank you. And I'm so glad you enjoyed that, Vincenza and Daniela. And which of his books would you advise to get first? I mean, this one, You Are Here. This is just the one that I gravitate toward, but I recommend whatever you gravitate toward. Trust your instincts, because especially with books and with movies, I feel too. Like if you just feel like drawn toward, or like any sort of like media, songs, especially too, trust your instincts, and whatever, like, you're like, oh, that looks interesting. Like that's probably the thing that's gonna speak loudest to you in that moment, And where do you listen to his books for free? So on Audible, there's a fair amount on Audible. I think I'm a member of Audible, so you might have to like pay for the membership of Audible, which is really affordable as far as I remember for what you get, which is like so many free books. And Audible has a whole section of like a free library, and Thich Nhat Hanh has a ton of books in the free library because a lot of them are on the shorter side. Greg says grief can cause anxiety, it seems, of course. Also noticing muscles and bones feel tense. Yeah, I think, anxiety, it really lives in the body. If you've read The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel. Kolk, thank you, Sherry. I was like, I know it's Bessel. I know the first name is Bessel, but Van de Kolk. That is the author of The Body Keeps the Score. Phenomenal book. Phenomenal. Can't recommend. I read that. I try to read that like once a year. I think everyone should read it probably twice a year. The Body Keeps the Score. It talks a lot about that and just how trauma like lives in the body, anxiety lives in the body, grief lives in the body. And so practices like yin yoga and acupuncture and just active muscle relaxation is really helpful. Like just first of all, noticing that your muscles and bones feel tense, Greg, is like, that's a accomplishment, because you can't soften anything if you don't notice that it's tense. So the first step in relaxing is noticing, even if it's like impossible for a while. You gotta like get there and maybe just jump around or shake it out. Or Vincenzo says any of his books would serve as a gateway to his other books. Great way to put it, Mike. It's a great way to put it. Grief is definitely a physical pain too. Absolutely. Grief is so painful. Thanks to my new pain meds, I haven't pooped in too long. I'm sorry, Vincenza. Miralax, Colace, save me. But I don't have a colon. And so I use the less heavy duty stuff, but Dulcolax, if you have a colon and you need that extra help. Sammy says, I have shared Deborah's reading of it in your group. It's 8 minutes long. Don't know where that version is taken from, but it's quite good. I've arrived. Awesome. Great to know. Thank you, Sammy. I will go check that out. Daniela says, I was thinking of buying On Death and Dying after hearing the quote you shared, but was worried it would be very, very heavy. Yeah. So, I mean, it depends on where you're at and what you consider as heavy, because like I'm just going to look through the reviews that are just on thrift books. So someone wrote a very useful guide through a very difficult time. When my mother was dying, I was confronted with a lot of issues to which I'd never given much thought, having never been in that kind of position before. So even the attitudes and beliefs about deaths I had carried for some time were brought into question, and I really needed some kind of simple guidance into how to approach all of the very painful and confusing issues, both externally and internally. After I read this book, I was very much more confident about my own reactions. I had a lot more insight into how to handle the various communication and interpersonal difficulties inherent in this very stressful time. It's a simple book, easy to understand, and addresses all the most important issues in a kind but factual manner. And I think that review I couldn't have said it better. Like, it's heavy because it's talking about death, but it does it in like the most kind and compassionate way possible. So if you do want to approach this topic and are worried about the topics being heavy, I do think that this book is probably the kindest approach, maybe the least heavy approach, because I think any book that's like literally on death and dying, about death and dying, will be somewhat heavy, because we don't talk about death enough, and death feels so heavy because we don't talk about it, and it's just this thing that's looming, and it's scary and sad and all of these things. So it's, if you feel called to it, I would give it a shot. It's always worth trying, and if it's too heavy, you can put it down. That's the great thing about books. And Louise says, speaking of poop and dying, did you know that before yes, I did know. I'm not even reading the rest, but I know what you're going to say. Did you know that we usually have to poop, and as a result, many people have passed away? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. My nurse friend told me. Sorry I laughed at that, but it's funny to me. I don't know why. My first day living in New York City, I saw someone pass and poop at the same time. And it was just like, welcome to Manhattan. Like, geez, like it was wild. And that kind of is a good metaphor for the 6 years I spent living there. That does happen. So I'm always like, when I die, I'm sure I'll die on the toilet, so it'll be fine. You gotta laugh. We have to laugh, you guys. We have to laugh. Grace says, I love thrift books. Me too. Also, Thread Up is kind of like the thrift books for clothes. Kelly says, thank you for the book recommendation. My mom is on hospice with Alzheimer's. I'm so, so sorry, Kelly. I'm so sorry to hear that. And Kelly, you might have mentioned this before, and I might have mentioned, because I'm having deja vu, I might have mentioned this before because there was Dr. Mercola. I'm not sure if any of you guys know of him, but he writes articles and blog posts about medical stuff. And he was writing stuff about methylene blue as being a treatment for Alzheimer's. And my fiance has this really bad Lyme disease co-infection thing, and he's on this crazy treatment right now, and it's a very stressful time in life right now, but one of his medications is methylene blue, and we've been looking into that a lot more, and it seems like that can be really helpful for people with Alzheimer's and dementia. So something to think about. I feel like I told you that last time, and I think you said thank you, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but yeah. It's an interesting medication, and it seems to be really helpful for a lot of things in the brain. I'm still looking into a lot of it though, but Louise, no need to apologize. Poops are normal. So my whole YouTube channel is about poop. Chirp books. There you go. Ultra affordable. Awesome. Thank you, Mike. That was the other one. But Barbara says you can access so many free digital and audio books on the library app with a membership to your public library. Yes, Barbara, thank you for that reminder. My mom actually just reminded me of that. And I just got my library card so that I could do that. Yes. You can get a membership to your own public library, and there's a ton of books that you can access there. That's much better. Thank you. And Danielle says, thanks for that. It helps. Easy to understand convinced me. I was concerned as I saw a couple of reviews saying it was geared to docs and nurses and worried it would be laborious to get through. Yeah, and that's what I was worried about too, because I got it as like a required reading for like being a hospice volunteer. But I'm like, but I'm not like a doctor or a nurse. I'm just a volunteer. So I was worried it was going to be heavier and more like a textbook type of thing, but it's pretty beautiful. So I hope you enjoy it. Or I hope you are. It's a weird thing to say, I hope you enjoy, but I hope it helps in some way. Maybe enjoy it too. And you have to laugh. Facts of life. Absolutely. Angel says, I've IBS and GERD, so same. Oh, so sorry, Angel. IBS is no fun, and it's the worst, and I have it too. And it's the one where it's like, it gets taken less seriously. Sometimes I feel more bad for people with IBS because it's irritable bowel syndrome, and it's like not, people kind of say it's like, oh, you have a sensitive tummy, like, and they kind of say things like that. And same thing with the GERD, but it's like, or like acid reflux or things like that. It's like, those things are so bothersome. And it's like, to experience that every day is such a toll on your body. And it's just, it doesn't get the credit it deserves for how disruptive it is to your life, I guess I'd have to say. And that's why it's kind of like having an IBD or ulcerative colitis or Crohn's diagnosis. It's like, people know that as being like a bad thing. So it's like, it makes it a little bit easier to do things because people will understand that I have limitations because they know I have a disease. But it's like, if I didn't have that diagnosis, then people would just think I was a flake or just whatever, So I don't know. I'm working on a video about this topic, so that's why I have a lot to say right now. But LibraVox is a good source of free audiobooks. Good to know. Mike's got all the audiobook hookups. And thank you, Angel. And Kelly, I love your live so open. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's hard to share hard topics, of course. But for some reason, it's very easy for me. So I do it. And I think that's about it. This was a long live session.